Hi, this is Carl Leopson at the University of Arizona, and this is a video that's part of a series on visual analysis and graphing of data in single subject research designs. And today we're going to take a look at creating a simple graph for an A-B design, and we'll be using traditional conventions of single subject research design graphing. I'm going to be doing the graph in Word or in Excel on the Mac 2011. It's really similar to Excel on the latest versions of Excel on a Windows machine. And I've also got this graphing checklist that I'm going to use that I hope will help you as you watch me create the graph, and if you want to set up this data yourself and graph along with me. You can see we have the data laid out in columns. There are lots of ways to create these graphs, lots of software you can use. I'm going to use Excel, and I'm using a simple layout for my data that has the data in straight columns. So I have a column that tells me which rows are part of the baseline or phase A and which rows are part of the intervention or phase B. Right. I have a session column. I have a column for the target behavior. I have a column for the replacement behavior. I have a column for treatment integrity data. I have a column for IOA, or Inter-Observer Agreement of Target Behavior, and Inter-Observer Agreement of Replacement Behavior. But today we are just going to be graphing target behavior, replacement behavior, and the treatment integrity data on our graph. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is select the data series that we are graphing and choose the chart type. So let's select the target behavior, replacement behavior, and treatment integrity data. Since these data are all in columns, each column will be seen by Excel as a data series. You'll see what that means in a moment. Now let's select the chart type, and we're going to make a line graph today, and that is we're going to make a marked graph, line graph. And let's bring it into a space where we can see it, make it a little larger. The next thing we're going to do is remove this line from around the graph, because eventually we're going to move it to some other area in some other format, and so we just want to get rid of that line. So a couple ways you can do this. I'm going to right click on the edge of the chart and say that I want to format the chart area. And we're going to go to line. We're going to say no line. So now you can see that has removed the line from around the chart. Next thing we're going to do is format the plot area. So there's a plot area inside of the chart area. The chart area has the plot area has a couple of things we want to take care of. One is we're going to get rid of the legend. Single subject graphs don't usually have this traditional format of legend. So we're going to select it and delete it, and it also gains us some space within our graph. Single subject research designs graphs also do not typically have these vertical axis grid lines, so we're going to click on one, and they should all become highlighted, and we can delete or backspace, and they're gone. The next thing we're going to do is format both axes, the x-axis and the y-axis. So let's start by, actually I'm going to work from the bottom up, to be honest with you. I'm going to set the axis line color to black for both of them. You can see it's kind of a light gray, and when you try to move that to another program, it's not going to show up very well. So I'm going to either double click it or right click it and select format axis. Want to format the line. We want the line to be black. You see how dark it is? And we're going to do the same thing here. Oh, I don't have the right thing. Let's get the format the axis. To format the line, we want a black line for the axis. Be much easier to see. So the next thing we're going to do, you know what these also have on? These also have, I think they have shadows turned on, but we're going to make sure they're turned off because it gets a little funky. All right. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to align the numbers with the tick marks. You can see that the numbers are between the tick marks, and the tick marks are not underneath the data points. So we're going to format the horizontal axis. We're going to click on ticks. We're going to get rid of the major tick marks, and you can see they disappeared. We're going to select outside minor tick marks, and you can see that now they're aligned with the number and with the data points. Okay, the last thing we're going to do on the axis for now is we're going to lower this horizontal axis, and we're going to change the scale on this vertical axis. It's because we have data on the 0 line. These 3 data points, as you can see in baseline for the replacement behavior, are 0, and then the data goes to 0 for the target behavior. And when we switch these over to a black line, the line's going to get lost in the horizontal axis. So we want to move that horizontal axis, and the way you do that is by adjusting the vertical axis. So let's click on the vertical axis and format axis. We want to change the scale. Oddly enough, we want to extend that vertical axis, so we're going to say we want the minimum to be minus 10. We're going to set our maximum at 100. We don't need anything larger than 100. We're working in percentages. We want to set the major unit at 10. We're going to set the minor unit at 10. And we want the horizontal axis to cross the vertical axis at just a little below that 0 line. So let's say minus 2. Do you see how it's moved down? And it's moved our data up above that 0 line, which is going to make it easier to see. When we get to our next step, which is going to be setting marker shapes and formatting these data series, I'm going to use open and closed circles as the marker shape because I think it's easier to begin with open and closed markers instead of just closed markers. I think it's easier for readers to see. And for the treatment integrity, I'm going to probably stick with a triangle and an open triangle. But let's start with series 1, and we're going to right click and we're going to say we want to format that data series. First thing we're going to do is change the marker shape. We're going to make it a closed circle. So we want a circle, and we're going to make it a little smaller too. How about that? We are going to change the marker line. So this is the marker, the actual marker that is the circle around it. And we're going to change that to black, and we're going to change the fill, the center of it, to black. So now it's just a black circle. We also want to change the line that describes the line that describes the data, the trend line. And we're going to change that to black, and we want to change the weight to make it not quite so thick. Let's take it down to about 1.5 points. So we have set the marker shape, set the line fill, or set the marker line, set the marker fill, set the line color and weight, and we haven't set the breaks yet, but we'll do that in a moment. Let's take care of this other data series. We're going to do the same thing. We are going to set the line to black. We are going to change the weight of that line to 1.5. we are going to change the marker style to a circle, but since we want an open circle, the marker style, the marker line will be black, the marker fill will be white. And sometimes you want to go with no fill if there are going to be data markers crossing up with each other so you can see through. But you can see what that does is it creates for us an open circle. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to take care of these data up here, and we don't want them connected. And we're going to keep the marker style. We are going to change the marker line to black. We're going to change the marker fill to no fill and say OK. And that shows our treatment integrity. Now the trend breaks. This is an A/B design, and there are 3 data points that describe the baseline for both the target and replacement behaviors. So we want to have a break here where we're going to end up putting our phase line. And so we want to we need to click on this one point, the 4th point, and remove the line between the 3rd and the 4th point. When you do that is you click on the 4th point. Once, you click on it one more time until it's highlighted alone, and then you right click it and say that you want to format that data point. Click on the line and say no line. You see how it just goes away? These would be funky things we would do in terms of arranging the data so that it would do that naturally, but you can remove the line this way. So I click on the next line once, the data point, I click on that data point one more time till it is highlighted alone. I right click it, I say format the data point, and I say no line. The last thing we're going to do is add some chart titles. You could do this in another program. I think it's perfectly fine to do it here. If you are just doing an A/B or some other graph that doesn't require some more complex chart titles. So we really don't need to resize this plot area right now. We might need to if we need more space for chart titles. We'll see in the long run. We'll add chart titles by clicking on charts, chart layout. We'll say that we want a chart title above the chart, and for now we'll just call this chart Amy's behavior. We also want a horizontal axis title, and we're going to say that these were sessions. We also want a vertical axis title that is rotated, and this is % of intervals observed. And now our graph is pretty much ready to move and finish in another program. I generally move my graphs to Word to finish them, and sometimes I can move them into Photoshop if it's something that I'm actually sending to a publisher. We'll do that in another video. Why don't you try copying this graph for now and walk through this process and see if you end up with the same thing that I did. It's Carly Opson, University of Arizona, and we'll have a couple more videos on visual analysis and graphing of data in single subject research designs.